It is time for video 2 of the Plan Your Year workbook series, and today we are talking about this page, Homeschool Crash Course. So we are going to be talking about it from two perspectives. I have two angles for you here. First of all, if you're brand new to homeschooling or you're interested in homeschooling, some of this is going to sound very new and quite frankly a little different to you, even though it's only one page. And then for those of us who have been doing this a while, you're going to maybe recognize that what a lot of us do when we've been homeschooling for a long time is we start comparing our homeschools to our own idea and standard of a homeschool. And it's not so much that we're comparing ourselves to everyone around us anymore, but we hold ourselves to like our own moving standards sometimes, and we need to get that under control. So let's go ahead and dive into the Homeschool Crash Course page. Your family's priorities and values are a big part of why we choose to homeschool. And knowing that why is important, but people often, we want to factor more into it, right? Like we always get told, okay, you need to factor in your child's learning styles. Yes. Philosophy of education. Sure. Curriculum choices. Yes. But they're tools. They're not supposed to be the end all be all of homeschooling, even though curriculum is often the reason a lot of us start homeschooling, where I don't like what the school system is doing, or I don't like how my child is responding to the way they're choosing to teach right now, because teaching is like anything else. Education is like anything else. It's subject to trends. So we don't want our children necessarily subjected to all trends and everything everyone wants to test out. So that's a large part of the reason people homeschool, curriculum. That doesn't mean when you start homeschooling, you have to pick the right curriculum or you're doing it wrong. No, like, you're going to change curriculum as you homeschool, and that's okay. I used to get so annoyed when people told me that. It's 100% true. And it's not like a condemnation of what you're using. It's just saying like, guys, people and things change over time. And why are we talking about this? Because that's the root of homeschooling. It's family, it's considering the child, it's considering yourself and your teaching style. It's considering what you value in an education. There's so many decisions to make when you homeschool. And you don't have to make them all now. And you definitely shouldn't, because I'll tell you the honest truth with homeschooling, things change so much. Like I have had years that felt like whiplash with how much things were changing. And then I have years that are pretty smooth and everything's flowing and we're doing well. And we don't have to change things as often. But being able to pivot like that is partially because you hold your decisions loosely. And the last thing I have on this page is a whole paragraph just about how your homeschool is unique. And that's so important because one of the most beautiful things in homeschooling has been finding friends who I may not homeschool exactly the same way they do. We may not make the same choices, but we're close, we're supportive. It's my little tribe, just wonderful group of women who I can talk to. Some of them are friends on Instagram. Some of them are real life friends. Some of them are at my co-op, which I'm going to talk about when we get to the why portion of this. But it's so, so important to know we've all chosen to make this unique choice for the benefit of our family and our children. And we don't all have to do it the same way because we're not all the same people. And there's something so, I know I already said beautiful, but it's just very true that it's beautiful when homeschoolers can live in that space together and know we do things totally differently and still be completely supportive of each other. The assignment, the meat of the page for today. Why do you want to homeschool? And I'm going to talk about this beyond these questions I have here because these questions are good. It's like, what makes you tick when it comes to homeschooling? What are you excited about? What do you want to try out? What do you want to experience? And ultimately, why do you want to homeschool? But that has changed. Like my why has changed so dramatically over the years, even though it solidified. Like I remember when I first started homeschooling, people were like, you need to write a why statement. You need to have like a family statement. You need to have it up on the wall. Totally did. It's like a thesis statement. I say that because I'm a writing teacher, but it was the cutest thing. And it was when my kids were super little. And what has happened since then, if somebody stopped me on the street and was like, why do you homeschool? I'd have to take a minute and think, like, why do I homeschool? Because it's just what we do now. So here's some of the things that are part of my why. It's totally not an organized statement, but it's stuff that's really important to us and makes our homeschooling work right now. That's why it's part of this for me. So flexibility, the ability to tailor instruction. It's been like that from the beginning, because why did I start homeschooling? I didn't want my son learning phonics the way the school system taught it. I taught too many kids in high school who still couldn't read well. And that was not something I wanted for my children. So at the very least, I was going to set them up to read and then maybe send them to school. That just never happened. But yeah, the ability to tailor instruction and modify curriculum is huge for me. I, to this day, don't think I've met a curriculum that I haven't modified in one way or another. And that doesn't mean I rewrote it, but it just means like, okay, we're done doing these math problems this way. Let's do it on a dry erase board. Let's, you know, use Post-its to make it more of a manipulative activity. Just little things like that are in fact modifying the curriculum. And we'll talk more about that on another day of this series. But that flexibility and ability to pick curriculum and modify curriculum is super important to me. And yet, another thing, another part of my why has morphed because of that. Because as much as I love doing that, I need help at this point. I work close to full-time hours, of course, on my own schedule, but I work quite a bit. And my husband has an intensive job as well and is also pursuing a doctorate. So, like, we're busy. And that's okay. You can homeschool still with all that going on. You know, we homeschooled through his master's degree too, and it was fine. But I need help now in a way that I didn't when the kids were younger. So what does that look like? That looks like doing whatever it takes to keep homeschooling as part of my why. So I have to outsource math. I'm a high school English teacher, guys. High school math is not my jam. Your girl did not pass all those classes and had to take them twice. So very important to me that my kids have a solid math foundation. And when I hit the point where I can no longer provide that, they need help. I need to outsource that. So I did outsource our math. And then after doing that, I realized we need to outsource even more. And that is why we joined a co-op 2 years ago. And it's been a blessing, and I absolutely love it. It did take away some of that curricular freedom, which made me a little sad at first, but it's necessary for me to be able to keep homeschooling and doing this thing. So that's been a wonderful thing. And then the flexibility piece of earlier, it was flexibility to modify curriculum. Now it's flexibility to add in a co-op. It's flexibility to join dual enrollment, because we're putting our oldest is starting dual enrollment this year. And that's just an opportunity. And we have the flexibility to take advantage of opportunities and tailor opportunities to what our family needs and what we believe our children need. And then finally, and this is the one that can make us all nuts as homeschool moms, but it's so valuable, I have the opportunity to really know my kids because they're homeschooled. And that's probably the biggest part of my why, because end of the day, when my son was old enough for kinder, I couldn't send him away for 40 hours a week. I just couldn't. I didn't want him gone that long. And as it works out, he never was gone that long. But that means you are your child's peer group. We are their social group for a lot of things. We are the example for a lot of things. And that can be hard because when kids are in a classroom or a social setting, they have a peer group that kind of softens some of the rough edges or kind of guides some of the behavior in positive and negative ways. But that would be a large part of our why, which I want to encourage you with the fact that it's a little bit of a ramble, because I don't have a thesis statement as to why we homeschool, but I know the roots of it are family first, flexibility, a tailor-made education, and truly knowing my own children. And that is probably the biggest blessing that homeschooling has afforded us. That's also why we homeschool. So what's your ramble and what is your why? I'd love for you to fill that out. If any of you want to email it to me, you are more than welcome. I'd love to see it. And if you have questions, also feel free to hit reply on the email and let me know what they are. I'll see you tomorrow.